Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where last episode we dealt with a rebellion down over here, and I would like to re-evaluate, at this point, the current state of government administrations in our nation. We are giving up almost 60k in unrealized taxes right now, and imagine what we could do with that money. Okay, I can tell you exactly what we'd do. First thing we'd do is we would cut our taxes, with half of it, and then the other half we put into construction. But regardless, that would be a very good thing to do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a quick look through our government administrations, which I've already sorted by taxation capacity here. So we can see that there's a government administration queued up here, which might have been queued up by the rebels, actually. I'm going to cancel it. It's not necessary. And I want to take a look. Is there anything else that they queued up? The rebels, I mean. A railway down here, and that's actually fine. We can keep that, complete with the additional construction. So that'll be okay. Now, the rest of these, how much taxation capacity are we getting per level here? 10. Okay, so we need 1 here, we need 2 here, and I'm putting these at the top of the list. I shouldn't be doing that. We're going to put 2, actually 3 here. 3 here. This is going to be 4. 5 here. 5 here as well in total. There was already 1 queued up, but we'll do 5 there. This is going to be a total of 6. This is going to be a total of 11. And this is now going to be 12. 13 here in total. And Moscow has 5 queued up and is going to need a total of 15. I'm going to put 16 because by the time that gets done, it'll have grown. Okay. So that'll be fine. That queues up a bunch of additional government administrations, and I'm just going to move those down for right now. So at the end of this list here, we've got nothing but government administrations, and that is fine. We're going to finish up our railways. That is kind of our highest priority in our constructions right now. It's not going to be an immediate huge gain for us, but it is ultimately going to be a very good thing to have done. So we're currently working on enacting National Guard. That should go through very, very swiftly, in theory. And we just broke 30 million in our GDP. Nice! We are almost to where we were before we, right at the very beginning of the game, released a few nations over here as a requirement for our scenario. Hey, there's National Guard. Fantastic. So that looks absolutely great. At this point, we can look at our home affairs. Okay, that's not going to be bumping anything up. However, we're negative in our bureaucracy because of that level 1 home affairs. So that's fine. I want to go for... What do we have going on in Samara over here? I'm wondering about peasant count. Okay, Samara seems fine. So let's move up. Each of these produces, in theory, 100 bureaucracy, right? Actually, it's plus 50 bureaucracy? Okay, noted. So we're going to need to move 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400 worth. So we need to get these government administrations done as a top priority, but I think I'm going to intersperse railways in among them. It's going to be kind of like this. Some of these railways are going to get finished up reasonably quickly, but definitely not all of them. So this is going to take a little bit to get through, no doubt about that. We're just going to do something approximately like this, and we're going to focus 50-50 on administrations and railways. Approximately 50-50. So we're going to be running a deficit for a while here, and that is because of the bureaucracy reduction. That's not shocking. So that's all good for the time being, and we can see that immediately we finish up one of those railways, and we're focusing a little harder on the administrations, which is excellent. That's exactly what we want, to be honest. We're currently ranked number 3 in the world, which is mildly surprising to me after France and Britain, but we're a distant 3rd. Okay, noted. We are definitely a distant 3rd. We'll get there. We don't really care too much about our prestige, and that is sorted by prestige, so that's fine. Yeah, these railways are going to be done relatively soon, but it's going to take a while for those government administrations. That seems absolutely fine. Now, our infamy is currently at 14.6. We can afford to let that drop for a while here, and I think that might be our best bet. taking a look at Ukraine's diplomacy here, they still have that alliance with the Ottoman Empire. They also have a defensive pact with Belarus, Poland, and Romania. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty big war. We might want to consider directly attacking Belarus. That will bring us in with Poland, as well as Lithuania. We can maybe go for these smaller nations. That'll be a lot of aggressive expansion. We'll have to evaluate exactly what that would look like. Or actually, in this game, it's called Infamy. But that would be a lot of it. And we'd have to be a little careful about that. So how are we doing with our relations with Sweden? They're up to neutral relations. Greece wants to enter a defensive pact with us. They've been wanting to do that. They would not accept a make protectorate. But maybe later they would. They might later. I guess we'll accept that for now. But apparently that removes the make protectorate diplomatic play demand because it's a hostile act. Yeah, it's very strange that there's not really any way to do that diplomatically with a positive relation in this game. I think that there should be, personally. But there currently isn't. So we're going to start getting finished with some of these government administrations. That's great. This guy will join the movement to enact freedom of conscience. So freedom of conscience is maybe not a terrible thing for us. Do we actually want to do this? We're on state religion right now. This would drop our authority by 100. So that is definitely noted. It would also drop the Orthodox Church political strength, which is not necessarily a great thing. How many radicals are we getting here? Okay. It's relatively significant in the number of individuals that would become loyal. But for the moment, I'm not too concerned about it. Infertile grounds, huh? Who is this guy? Oh, he'll join the movement to enact freedom of conscience. So he would retire from politics and settle domestically. That would give the intelligentsia... I think we can get rid of the intelligentsia's opinion a little bit. We'll just exile him. It'll be fine. Okay, so that looks okay for now. We are definitely running a debt, or rather a deficit at this moment, and that is due to our lack of government administrations. We'll get that worked on. I don't want to go to war at this point. Not while we're running a deficit just by default. Of course, we can pause our construction, but I don't want to do that. Hey, central banking will actually help a fair amount. 10% minting and minus 2% loan interest rate. I mean, our loan interest is already not huge, but that additional minting will be relatively handy. Yeah, that was about 3K. Not bad. We'll definitely take that. Now, I would like to consider building potentially some universities at a certain point. The question is, when is that point? And also, Moscow is negative in infrastructure. We should definitely queue up a railway there, and I'm going to do that at the top here. So that'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so how are we actually doing on that? We have an innovation cap of 105. We're currently generating 54. So we could definitely get some universities going here. Each of these would generate 2 innovations. So what is our innovation delta that we end up needing here? The answer is 51.8. So call it 52. Okay. So let's sort this by job seekers. And we're going to say, do these get economy of scale? They do. Okay. Should we build all of these in Moscow? No, I'm going to split it up. So we have 52 that we need. So, of course, divide that by 2, and we end up with 26. So we need 26 of these things. So if I were to divide that further into 2, that would be 13. Okay, so we would end up needing... Okay, let's do 5 in each location for now. That's 25. And then I'm going to put 1 additional in Moscow. Now, those are currently at the bottom of the list. And the question is, how big of a priority is it for us to get those innovations? The answer is it's actually a pretty big priority. But these universities are going to be kind of slow to build. Yeah, 16 weeks each. That's not super slow. I think that what we're going to do is we're going to get these completed first to pull ourselves out of debt, or rather out of deficit. And then we're going to, and this is currently in reverse order, which is not necessarily what I want to do. I want to do something kind of like that. Should be fine. Then what I want to do is start working on moving these railways up. And this is another one of those situations where I really wish that we had a tool other than just moving up one button or moving to all. That would be really nice. So this railway would end up going about here. Or even if I could just select a bunch of railways. You know what? Let's do this a little bit more piecemeal later on down the road. We don't need to do the whole thing right now. So that's fine for now. Low market access in Tajikistan. Okay, so we need to take a look at that. So in Tajikistan, let's sort by infrastructure. So we already have a railway queued up for Tajikistan. Let's find it. It's this one. So we're going to bump that up to the top. We definitely need to get that done because of market access. Currently, low construction efficiency here due to turmoil, almost certainly. We just recently conquered this, and that's fine. Yeah, that looks okay. So no problem there. What are we running for decrees right now? None. Good to know. Enact cultural exclusion political movement. That might be something that we're interested in doing. Although, national assimilation for 19 years wouldn't be too bad. Okay, let's do that. Now, if we look at this, we're currently on national supremacy, which will give us plus 150 authority, and accepted cultures are pretty much just Russian at this point. Cultural exclusion would be sharing a cultural trait with any primary cultures in their country, which would include heritage cultural traits. So this would probably be more accepted cultures than what we have right now. Which currently accepted cultures are exclusively Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian. Okay. So that's all definitely very interesting. I think going for this would not necessarily be bad. No one really opposes this. It would end up losing us some authority. But we can afford that. So for the moment, I think that's okay. What that will end up meaning, of course, is we need to go into our budget and we need to ditch the consumption tax on opium, which is the current smallest amount of consumption taxes that we're getting. Then once that passes, we're going to have to reduce the consumption tax on fine art. That should be okay. I'm not too concerned about that. So we're working on these railways right now. I want to move some of these government administrations up. And then I think the rest of these railways are fine where they're at. But we could move universities up, something like that. Okay, sounds good. We do want to get more research, and I would have liked to do that earlier. But for the moment, we've had bigger priorities. But absolutely getting more research will be good. So that is fine for right now. We've dropped down to number 4 in the world. We don't really care about our prestige, though. It's absolutely fine. I'm not concerned about that. I am interested in potentially attacking someone like, say, Afghanistan. I know that this does not historically go well, but anytime anyone invades Afghanistan, historically, it doesn't go well. But we'll be fine if we do it. The question is, how much infamy would that be? And the answer is 40. So, are we concerned about 40 infamy? I mean, kind of. Alternatively, we could attack up over here. Now, canneries have been unlocked. That is good for us. So, that gives us canneries for food workshops. That will help our food, like our canned food production. And yeah, Tajikistan is going to be very low productivity. What is the requirement there? Iron grain fish. Okay, yeah, that should be fine. We can also go to bone china, which we should probably consider doing. Although that will tank the price of porcelain and massively increase the price of glass. Maybe we stay on ceramics for right now. Yeah, I think for the moment that's okay. For our paper mills, we can go down to paper bleaching, which is a good thing to do. I mean, pollution is a thing, but the production will be useful. Beyond that, this all looks relatively fine. Okay, yep, that does indeed look good. We're working on Bessemer process right now. And I wonder what'll be exposed next for us. So currently is electric telegraph over here, but we absolutely do need to get these universities going eventually, and it would be very good to have them going very soon. But we have bigger priorities at this exact moment. Nitroglycerin. Okay, that's a pretty good one. We'll take that. That is absolutely fantastic. We are seeing our finances improve a little bit, but the unrealized taxes are 62K right now, and that's painful. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. I'm not too concerned about building up this debt. Our interest payments are very, very low, so that should be absolutely fine. We'll get them paid off pretty quickly. As soon as we get our bureaucracy turned around, which it is turning around. So that all looks good. Our railway in Tajikistan is going to be consuming a lot of extra resources here, but it does need to get built since we are low market access there. So that'll be fine. We just pass directly into consideration for cultural exclusion. Seems very good. And I want to drop at least below 10 before we think about attacking over here. The question is, what shape would that end up taking? I would like this to not escalate into a giant war, ideally, because that's going to be very expensive. To that end, how much are we spending on our construction goods? 92.6K? Okay. Yeah, I don't think we can afford a giant war. So, in that case, France would obviously join in on this if we were to do a transfer subject. If we were to make Belarus a protectorate, that would be 28.5 infamy. For Poland, that would be 36 infamy. For Ukraine, that would be 86 infamy. That's obviously not going to be a thing. So, with that in mind, Ukraine would be a conquer state. We would do that piecemeal. I think the target here is likely Belarus, who is allied with Poland and has a defensive pact with Lithuania and with Ukraine. Now, the question is, would France join in with the Lithuanian thing? I don't know. This is kind of a wall against us right now. Especially with the question of would France join if Lithuania was not the primary belligerent? And would that change if there was a transfer subject demand? I would expect it to change in that scenario. So if we were targeting Lithuania with war goals, I would expect France to get involved at that point. And if we weren't targeting Lithuania with war goals, I would not expect France to get involved. That would be the way that I would expect that to work. I don't know that that's how that works. That said, we could definitely go for Afghanistan here. We're at 10.2 infamy right now, so if we were to go for Afghanistan, that would give us exactly 40 infamy, which would, as soon as that drops down below 10, keep us below 50. And then that'll buy us some time for this wall to maybe break up a little bit, since we're focusing down over this way. The other option would be Persia. 44.1 infamy to make them our protectorate. That's an interesting option. Persia has a lot of territory here. A lot of states. And that would be a lot of infamy there. So this is a very interesting option. They have an alliance with Afghanistan. Just how much infamy would we get if we made Afghanistan a protectorate? 16 infamy is the answer. So that would overall be 56 infamy between the two, which is potentially enough to make these guys want to get involved. So I think for the moment, we want to at least wait until we have our bureaucracy positive. That would be a helpful thing. We're pretty negative financially without having our armies mobilized right now, and that is, of course, a problem, and we want to solve that. So I think for the moment, we're going to let our infamy continue to drop, and then we can think about this Persia-Afghanistan alliance. But I think there's an in there. The main question is, just how much will these guys actually care? If Britain were to get involved, problems would ensue. 79-72. They're weaker than I thought. Hang on. We're 98-49. We're actually stronger than both of these, although not combined. But Britain very well might have some interests in this region. So that is understood. So our government administrations are continuing here. We've now progressed into adoption for cultural exclusion. No one opposes this, so it's not surprising that we're just pushing right through. Not surprising at all. We're about 5 weeks away from another government administration finishing, which is, of course, very good. And this government administration here, I'm actually going to move down. We do not need it where it is there, which means that we can move up these universities and have this be interspersed a little bit further. We're pretty close to getting started on these universities, so that is great. We very much do want to get that technology going here, and our literacy is continuing to improve, but it's not fantastic. That's for sure. So our government administration is going to be done here in 1 week, and then we'll start to focus in more on this one. That's now 12 weeks away. Okay, that looks solid. We are currently working on 2 railways. The railway in Tajikistan is going to take a while yet. 24 weeks. It's painful with the construction efficiency out there, but this is, in my opinion, absolutely necessary to deal with this market access. Now, ironclads are currently expensive, and would we be well suited to build a military shipyard? Honestly, no, is the answer. Okay. Well, that seems reasonably fine. We should be positive, or positive-ish, in our government administrations in 8 weeks. And how are we doing on that infamy? 7.5. So we're going to be at just over 60 infamy. Okay. That looks relatively solid. I'm still interested in passing professional army, although at this moment, of course, we can't. But I'm wondering, 35.2. Okay, the Gentry Assembly have lost some power. Hey, Vox Populi. Okay, sure. We now have cultural exclusion. We already had Vox Populi. I don't know why that showed up as an achievement unlock, but whatever. It didn't on Steam because we already had it, of course. So professional army here is fine. We would love to go for this, so we can enact this with a 22% chance to progress. Maybe this time. Maybe this time. To greener grounds, huh? Okay, so this guy is exiled. Sure. So that all seems fine. I definitely do want to enact professional army. Our primary focus right now is getting that government administration done. We are now beginning construction on our university complexes. And that seems okay. But we are going to need to move some of these railways up. I'm going to move these railways up, but then we're going to move them back down. And they are going to be interspersed throughout the universities. These are the ones that are full efficiency to construct. Okay, I really wish we could drag and drop these. That would be really, really convenient. Unfortunately, it's just a tedious process. So we're going to need to move 4 more of these. Okay. Because I don't want these to be built right now. If we could move them as a block, that would be very helpful as well, but we can't. It's just individual movements. And this is one of my largest complaints right now about Victoria 3. My other complaint is mostly a diplomatic one. I think that there needs to be a few more diplomacy options. Specifically, my biggest complaint in the diplomacy is the lack of ability to create protectorates diplomatically. That's something that I wish we would be able to do. Unfortunately, we cannot. The other major complaint that I have right now about Victoria, if I can recall it. Hang on, I'm thinking. What was that? I had another complaint. Let's see here. This needs to be a Yep, that looks good. Okay, we got that done. So the other complaint that I have at this moment is, if I can recall it. I can't recall it right now. I do have another complaint. But, yeah, I definitely don't remember what it was right now. Okay, so we are basically in a position right now where we can declare this war. We do have some low standards of living, and that is all expected. We are getting started on our university constructions, and we are going to intersperse these other railways in amongst the universities, because we want to be working on both simultaneously at this point. That'll be fine. Man, now this is going to bother me because I can't remember what the other complaint was. Let's see, we had the diplo-vassalization issue. Oh, I remember what it was. I think that it is slightly too simple for great powers to interfere in diplomatic plays. As in, it's a little too free. I think it should be absolutely possible and something that you should have to worry about. But I think that it should maybe cost, like, a decent chunk of influence or something, like, along those lines to interfere in a diplomatic play that you are not an instigator or a direct party to. I just think that that would be a decent way of modeling that and keeping the danger of the diplomatic play without... Oh, wow, we just passed directly into consideration. That's nice. Without completely wrecking the balance. I just think there should be a little bit of a cost to it and make the great powers, including ourselves, to be clear, in this situation, make them think a little bit more strongly about whether they want to interfere in that or not. Because maybe they just don't have the diplomatic wherewithal to do that. So those are my major complaints about Victoria right now. They're not significant. I think Victoria is in a decent state. I'm not going to call it a fantastic state, but I think that it's definitely improved with this new war system. I'm liking the war system thus far. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to work our way through this university railway queue, and eventually, they'll get finished up. Eventually. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.